Hi, I'm Bob.
And I'm Annie.
My friends call me Bobber, and I call her Me Sweets. And we're in McCarthy's Poorhouse, which is our own little garage slash pub. And we just got done doing a Christmas tree on our car. And we do this is our third year, and we do this because Me Sweets loves to have a decorated tree on top of the car. And so there it is. Everybody wants to know about our Christmas tree on the rooftop and light it up. So, video is about how we went about putting the Christmas tree on the roof and getting lights on it that work. And if you follow along the rest of the video, you will see all the step by step of how we did this. Okay, so here's the things that we need to do the Christmas tree on the car. The first thing is we need some sort of rack on the car. Not all cars have a rack. You can go online and buy this. It's a kit. There's many of them online. Just find one that'll work for your vehicle. And you want something that is rated to do a lot of pounds because that tree sticks up in the air and it pulls a lot of wind, so you want something that mounts good. You don't want to buy something cheap. Next thing is when we put the tree on the roof, we want something to protect the roof. So we went to a local fabric store and picked up some, it's almost like a waterproof thin canvas material. We got it in white because the first year we did this, we had a white vehicle and then some white duct tape to tape this down on the roof. And then we put these on and we hold the tree down with this. And then comes the decorating part. And we've got a string of lights. And instead of going out and trying to find lights that would plug directly into your cigarette lighter, we bought regular indoor, outdoor Christmas lights with plug-ins. And we've got a little AC, DC power converter, power inverter they call it. You can pick them up at any electronic store. And you plug in your lights into here and this into your cigarette lighter or power port they call them now on a car, and the lights come on. To get from your power port to where we're going to plug the trees in, I recommend either a brown or a green. Green looks nice with the Christmas tree, but you want an extension cord, and I did a 15-foot so we can route it on the inside of the vehicle from the power port inside the car all the way back and up out the back door. To connect the lights to the tree, you need some zip ties, wire ties, whatever you want to call them. Pick them up at your local hardware store. I do green because then everything kind of blends in with the green tree. Okay, I was showing you all the things that you needed to have, but I forgot the most important part, and that's the Christmas tree. And I recommend getting a live tree, a real tree, as opposed to a artificial tree. Artificial trees just aren't going to stand up to the wind beating across your vehicle. This is a real tree. It was live up to a week ago. Our local tree farm where they raise Christmas trees, we bought trees from him before, and he runs a nice operation. I recommend doing it locally. In fact, we bought 4 big trees like this, bigger than this, and put in our yard from the same guy. This happens to be a Fraser fir, and it's about 6 foot tall and very full. One year we did it where it wasn't so full and you could kind of see through it, and it looked okay, but this year Me Sweets Annie, she wanted a full tree, so we got a full one. Okay, one last thing that I forgot besides the tree was that we wanted to add a little extra decoration to our tree, and we do that every time we've done it, and we do it in different ways, and we just, particularly Annie, Me Sweets, she loves to have cute little decorations on things. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take an old hand towels, piece of decorative fabric, you know, for the occasion. And Annie cut that, and she's got a little bit of piece there, and we'll see how that comes into use. But then we've got a little bit of burlap ribbon that we're going to use, and so it's good to have little extra decorations that you can find around the house you want to use. Okay, two other things that you're going to need are some sort of step stool. When you're up on next to the vehicle and you're leaning over the top, you want to have something that you can reach over the top with. A step stool, if you've got a taller vehicle, you're going to maybe want a ladder. Just something to get up so you're not fighting to try and mount this on top of your car. You want to do it right, because you don't want to have anything come loose and flying around and flopping around out on top of your vehicle. So step stools, very good. If you try to use the car and open the doors and you try to step on the sill of the door, as you're doing the work, you're going to get tree needles down inside the car, and it makes for a mess. So your best bet is a step stool or a ladder of some sort.
I'd like to add one more thing too. Make sure your car is clean before you start this, because it doesn't work well to go through the car wash with the tree on the top.
Okay, I took our fabric, laid it down on the roof. Realize that when you get back about this far, the tree is going to be coming up off of the roof, so it's not going to rub there. But the front of the tree is going to be up here, and it's going to rub, so we want to really protect the roof. You don't want to have to get a paint job when we're done. And I used duct tape, and I started on the back with the duct tape across the back, went up the sides, and I pulled it tight, and then I did across the front. And you want to pull it tight so that you don't have bubbles in there that are flapping against the roof as you're driving down the road. You want to do the front really, really good, and when you put this down, you really want to rub it good so it sets on that rooftop. You don't want to have any moisture get under there and then the tape start peeling off, because then everything will come loose. Especially on the front, you want to protect it, because remember, you got wind blowing across that, and if it rains or snows, you don't want to have anything get underneath that tape. So you want to make sure when you do this, you get some good quality duct tape, and you can do whatever color you want. Just make sure it's good quality duct tape. And after the holiday season, we usually do it around 1st or 2nd of January. We take this off, and you may have to use some Goo Gone or some sort of adhesive remover to remove the stickiness off the top of the car. Okay, after we put the protective cover on the roof of the car, we put rails on to mount the tree onto. This vehicle, Annie Me Sweets here, this current vehicle is a Subaru Crosstrek, and they don't have any cross members, so we had to buy a kit of rails to go across there, but it does have this raised piece that we could mount the rails onto. Some cars won't have rails, and you'll have to get a kit that has usually like a suction cup, and then they have clips that hook inside the door frame. But you want to make sure you got something that's really good, stout. It's going to stand up to the wind pulling on the tree, and then that they mount really good and solid on the car. These mount to this frame, and they tighten, and they're really good. They don't move once you get them tightened down really tight. And we're going to use this. This becomes important for mounting the tree and keeping the tree from blowing off the car. And here in Minnesota, if something blows out of your vehicle, if it blows out of your truck or off through the roof and somebody gets hurt or killed, you are criminally responsible. So you don't want to have that happen. Okay, now that we've got the rack and the roof protector on, one thing you want to do if you have a garage, and this is very, very important, is you want to measure this distance here. What you don't want to do is do all this work with the tree, get it mounted on the roof, and then find out when you pull into the garage, either backing in or driving in, but backing out, that the tree hits your garage door or your garage opening up here. So you want to measure this distance. And for us here, we have a 9-foot door and we have roughly 20 inches. So when we put the tree on here, we want to zip tie the branches down, and we'll be going over that. When you zip tie the branches down to pull them down so that they aren't catching up here. Okay, what we have here is our string of lights. They're indoor, outdoor. They're powered by house electricity, or what we call AC electricity, as opposed to DC, which runs off of some sort of battery. These are a strand of 25 feet, and they're multicolor. And this is our third, excuse me, this is our third year of doing these, and these lights have held up all that time. They're LED lights, so when you're at your decoration, local decoration shop, wherever you're buying them, the LEDs work the best. They take very little power, and so if you want to leave the car sit out in the yard and with the lights on and the car not having to run to keep the battery charged, these work really good. And like I said, they're 25 feet, and I have 2 strands of them to go all the way around this tree. And I'll start, and as I mentioned earlier, the position of the tree will be such that the top of the tree is towards the back of the vehicle. Again, because when you're going down the road, if you put the top of the tree towards the front of the car, these branches go like that. And so you always want to have the trunk, or the base of the tree down there, is towards the front of the car. And so because of that, we're going to put the plug-in at the top of the tree, and I use a zip tie to hold it in place. And then when this is mounted on the car, what will happen is I'll plug in my green or brown extension cord in here and run that extension cord into the car and down into a power port. Now, this car that we have is a hatchback, so it has a tailgate or an end gate which lifts up and we can run our extension cord through. If you have a car that doesn't have that, you could run the cord down into your trunk and through a split seat in your trunk into up to a power port. Or if you need to, you could have your plug-in down here on the side of the tree and the extension cord taped down, and it goes down into a side door and then over to a power port. Depending on your vehicle, you're going to have to figure out how you want to route your cord. If you route it from here and down through a door, make sure your plug-in is right down in this area. So now I'm ready to start decorating the tree with the strings of light. I've got it attached up here, and what I'm going to do is I just take the tree and I just turn the tree and add the lights. Now, I could wire tie these on here, but I like to wait and do that when we're done, because what we want to do is we like to take the tree. Once we got all the lights on it, we like to take the tree and plug in the lights and kind of adjust the lights around to get them evenly spaced so they look nice. And so when I'm done doing that, then I'll zip tie it or wire tie the lights onto each branch. Okay, we're to the end of the first string on the tree, and we're going to add the second string. And again, it's another 25-footer, multicolor LED lights. And what we want to do is make sure we plug them in together. And so when we plug in that end up there on the tree, it'll light up both sets and it'll look nice on the tree. What I do is I plug them in together, and then I take a zip tie or a wire tie and I connect it so that once this is mounted on the tree, it doesn't come apart. And so there we go. And then I just tuck that in the tree as we work the lights around. So now we're done with the last string, and we end up with the end of the string hanging out here. And what do we do with that? So what I do is I take a zip tie and I tuck this down into underneath the branches here and zip tie it around a branch to hold it in place. And that prevents it from flopping around, scratching the top of the car, just tucks it away, makes it look nicer. And so there we go. We've got it tucked away down underneath there. Nobody can see it then. So what we've done now is we plugged in the trees while it's still on the floor. And we've gone along and kind of arranged so the lights are kind of spaced out evenly and look nice. The big thing is this is going to be sticking up into the sky. This is going to be visible on the driver's side, and over here is the passenger side, what people are going to see. And so those are the best areas to make your lights arranged so they look nice. Then I take the zip ties that I had shown you earlier, and I just come in here and put some zip ties around the wire and around a tree branch. Then I take the zip tie and point it inward so I don't have to go along and cut off every little end of a zip tie sticking out. And because they're green, they really blend in nice with the tree. And you just go along and you put zip ties on there, because you got to remember when you're driving down the highway at a high rate of speed, you don't want to have these lights flying off or flopping around and flying in the air and doing all that craziness. So zip tying them with the smaller zip ties, and I've got the bigger zip ties, and when we get it on the roof, remember we got to stay that 20 inches to be able to get in and out of the garage. So I've got bigger zip ties to go along when we get it up there and pull in some of the branches. But the key here is to make your lights look nice so that when people are driving around and they see you, they wave. We get people passing us on the highway and they're always giving us the thumbs up because it looks so beautiful. So on to zip tying. So when you're putting the string of lights on and we're zip tying them with these little zip ties, wire ties, whatever you want to call them, the one thing you want to do is push your branches up in there behind the wire, and then just grab a branch or two, and you want something that isn't going to come apart. So here I got 3 little sprigs sticking out, and I wrap it around there and wrap it, make sure the wire is caught in there with it, and if the zip tie will cooperate, I can get it in there. And you want to pull it tight because you don't want to have these lights sliding off the end of these sprigs. So you want it good and tight on there, good and solid. And then, like I said earlier, is just kind of twist it around behind. That way the end of the pigtail of the zip tie doesn't stick up in the air. And there you go. So if you kind of tuck the branches up behind the lights as you go, then that way the lights all show and not buried down in there. And it takes a little bit of, just kind of tweaking as you go along. And once we get it on the roof and start doing the bigger zip ties around the sprigs to get them down to our proper depth, you can do some more tweaking at that time.